What is up, guys? It's your boy Jim at Crypto. We're coming at you live every single day, 11 a.m. Eastern. Today, we're going to be talking. I made the title Bitcoin and Ethereum price. Microsoft bets $10 billion on ChatGPT. So Microsoft going in on that ChatGPT. We're going to talk about that, of course. But really, what we're talking about today is Ethereum proof of stake. And a lot of you guys love Ethereum proof of stake and have no idea why. That would be me too, kind of. I like the price thing. I like thinking about the price going up. But now Sam has been teaching me like a ninja. We got Frosty coming in hot in about 20 minutes. We're going to talk about Ethereum proof of stake and why there can be trouble with Ethereum proof of stake, and it's something that no one wants to talk about because it already occurred. And they're just like, okay, this is the way it is now, proof of stake. There's an environmental piece to this too, which is complete baloney. There's not a piece of the environmental, they're hedging towards that environmental, news clip when they're talking about this stuff. Hey, this doesn't hurt the environment. We've dealt with these things already. Nobody cares about the environment. We need to scale crypto. We're going to talk. We got a big one. I'm pumped up. Richard streamed last night. No updates on anything. He talked a lot of crap. But it was fun. Whatever. But no updates. Kind of just a chill time over there. Let's keep it going. Crypto in the morning. We're live every single day at 11 a.m. Eastern. We got Sam in the green room. Let's hit it.
You already know what time it is. Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning. Waiting on phone. Crypto in the morning. 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 Waiting on phone. Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning. Smoking no blunt on my way to the gym. 11 a.m. and I'm already tuned in. Got me some hacks and I'm making a stake. Got me some heads on, I'm making it rain. Pay me some maxi and that's just in case. Jim ready to send me to show you the way. Crypto in the morning, 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 crypto in the morning.
I've been talking about proof of stake and proof of work a bunch over the last year and how it increases the concentration of capital and increases centralization. And we've got an episode coming out in about a week that gets into actually 2 episodes. That's how good it is. This video is excellent. Normally when I watch other people's videos, I might agree with some of the stuff, what they're saying. We're about halfway through in the first episode, and I agree with practically every single thing that has come up in this episode in regards to proof of work versus proof of stake. And it's not necessarily a good direction where we're going with proof of stake.
It's not. This isn't the sexy topic for all the price action guys. So if you're in here and you just want Hex to go up and you just want Zen to go up and you just don't really care about any detail whatsoever, it's probably not the episode for you, for real. But, I mean, there's place for everybody in crypto, to be honest. But this is going to be more of a technical talk that nobody really wants to talk about. A little bit eye-opening, too. Sam, I tweeted something out yesterday when we were recording, and I couldn't believe it when I tweeted it. That's kind of why I tweeted it. And it was this. It was Ethereum proof of work has 200-ish lines of code. That's like 400 lines of code, 426. Ethereum proof of stake has hundreds of thousands plus lines of code. Which one can have more problems? Which one is harder to fork? That's what I put up because and I did a little hashtag Pulsechain down there.
I want curious, what did people say in response to that? Because you guys let us know in the chat. What do you think? If you have something that's very, very complex, is that easier to break? Is a chandelier easier to break than a simple like socket with a light bulb in it? Right? Which because it has so many more moving parts. There's a reason.
POW is an order of magnitudes more efficient than stake. There's a couple actual smart guys that follow me that know more than me, frankly. But these aren't. A lot of people probably just said, "Oh, whatever." I don't care whatever this tweet is. Who cares? But so nobody really has too much to say except for one man. Been saying that forever, and that's Mr. Frosty. And Frosty is a wealth of information. A wealth. I mean, my God.
And you're leaving out the best part. Mr. Frosty should be back on the show as a special guest in a little bit. So make sure you stay tuned to that because he is
Can you get your point out, Sam, in a clear way, like cause for me and everyone else, like because they want to know, and we're beating around the bush a little bit. What are your concerns? What do you think is a problem here? And because I know you don't want Ethereum to become the monopoly that Verizon Wireless is, that Amazon is, because it's a crypto.
Correct.
Right? So talk about that.
So when you think about power, like ultimate power corrupts, right? What do you think happens if you see people taking steps to increase power? Well, Ethereum with multiple different EIPs, I'm sure, but with specifically EIP 1559, decreased the benefit to miners and increased the benefit to ETH holders. And then very, very, very marginally negatively impacted users because everybody who spends a fee doing anything on Ethereum is diluting themselves versus like when you have a miner earning a larger amount. One thing that miners do, if I'm mining, think about anything you do in your life that is.
Think about this, guys, though. Think about this, like for real. Like when he says this, think about it. Like what he's saying. Go ahead.
Well, like I wouldn't mind mining ETH POW, but think about this. If you think about what you're doing in your life, if you're doing a side hustle that's generating 2,500 extra bucks a month or 1,000 extra bucks a month, what are you going to do if you're generating 1,500 extra bucks a month? Well, you're probably going to tell the people that you love and care about that are closest to you in your inner circle. I'll be like, GRC, dude, I'm doing this thing and I'm generating 1,500 extra dollars a month by running this miner thing in my house. It's awesome, right? And it's in the middle of the winter, so it's actually helping me heat my house up. So one of the benefits of having miners is that they work as a way to distribute, right? They work as a way to distribute Ethereum because then everybody in my inner circle is going to know that I'm mining because I want other people to be doing something that I'm like, dude, this is freaking awesome. It just makes me money. I don't have to do anything, right?
It's just another avenue for you to take care of your life and have options. And the environmental stuff is bullshit.
100%.
It's all bullshit. It's all a lie. And I learn that more and more every day. Like I always kind of know that, but then when you actually read documents about it, you know that they're lying because they don't give a shit about what they're writing, and nobody does. And there's not a person in Congress that cares about this. There might be like a 22-year-old lefty out there that thinks they care, but they don't because they don't really know the detail. They don't understand. Let's bring someone on who does understand the details. Frosty's got experience with this. Frosty's been preaching this to the choir to the point where he's just like, you know what? No one's listening. I'm going to just stay rich and do whatever the fuck I want. We like those vibes around here.
There he is. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well out there. Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year's.
I don't know if you heard the little intro, but proof of work versus proof of stake. You've been kind of talking about this for a while, right? And can you kind of give people the like overarching thoughts on this, why one is better than the other, and some of the path that this leads to, right? If you go north and you just start walking north, inevitably you end up more north than you currently are now. And by transitioning to proof of stake, we're effectively choosing a path that brings us to a place that in 3, 7, 12 years we may not want to be. And can you talk about this, please?
Well, there's no good or bad with either one of them. You just got to understand the rules of the game in which you're playing. You know what I mean? And understand the ecosystems that you're creating. You know, the reality is nobody cares about security. They say they care about security, but they don't. In reality, they just want mad gains, but they don't understand what they're getting themselves into. Like, when you have a mining system as a traditional proof of work system, it's decentralized. Anybody can fire up, like you, a miner with a GPU or an ASIC, or back in the day, a CPU, you know what I mean? And mine and add your little piece to the puzzle of the pie. And by running one node and running even 1 or 2 miners, if you do that on scale, it's a lot bigger. And there is lots of miners in the Ethereum community. It's huge. Same with the Ethereum Classic community. And what you have is a much more secure network, because it's virtually impossible to hack that network. It's virtually impossible. And there's just a less attack surface area in the whole thing for the whole ecosystem to work. And the reason why they want to proof of stake is because they know they can't control proof of stake. It's like playing whack-a-mole. What are you going to do? What's the FBI going to do and CIA going to do? Go boot fuck every little guy, kick the doors in that has 6 GPUs? Impossible. So how do you regulate and mandate that? How do you regulate and control the consensus mechanism? You can't. You can take down 1,000, but 10,000 are going to pop up again tomorrow. But if you go to a proof of stake where you basically centralize everything, and then now you can create regulation around it for whatever regulation you want. Now you've lost control. Is that a bad thing? I don't know. I guess depends on the world you want to live in. I know the world that I want to live in, and I don't want to be subject to one day I can do something on Infura and one day I can't because of the IP address I'm in. You don't have that. You can't have that in a proof of work network. You can have that in a proof of stake, but like, yeah, we don't want you here, so you're done. Oh, we don't want to transact this token, so it's blocked. You know, like, is that the world we want to live in? Like, I thought people in crypto wanted to be, have more freedom, but then they jump on this bandwagon to create less freedom. You know what I mean? It's like, but the reality is it's overwhelmed by bots and trolls, and it goes back to the old adage is, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. You know what I mean? So they pump the fucking narrative on social media and the media outlets with a whole whack of screaming, noisy idiots. Then that must be true. But in all reality, it's not.
Can you talk about that narrative a little bit? Because we might be familiar with it, but not everybody is necessarily familiar with that narrative of like ESG and all the other garbage around that, and then how that leads to the centralization.
And before you go, guys, what do you think about the chat? You guys like this stuff? And what do you think about Ethereum proof of stake versus proof of work? I want to know. I know there's some big ballers in the chat, so let us know what you think. Go ahead.
Honestly, I've been saying this for a long time. The smartest move, in my opinion, this is my opinion only, and I know nobody will agree with it, but in all reality, the smartest thing would be to do is just to fork fucking Hex and put it out on Ethereum Classic. It's an EVM chain. It's got a massive fucking mining network. It's way more secure and decentralized than the original freaking Ethereum chain. That's why they forked, because they didn't agree in the consensus mechanism. And the reality is most of the Geth code and everything else and all of that stuff that runs it was created by the Ethereum Classic developers. So you could literally just copy and paste that right on there and have cheaper fees, maximum security, and a huge community already backed around it, and just keep on rolling. You know what I mean? Because they have no plans ever to go into proof of stake. Why? So the whole reason, and everybody seems to think in their mind, Ethereum Classic is garbage. But in all reality, Ethereum Classic is ahead of its time. And why is Ethereum Classic ahead of its time? Because then the whole entire industry of Ethereum Classic is designed and ready, and the infrastructure ready to go for Internet of Things. Okay, so their whole platform and their whole future is based on the Internet of Things. So when you start having sensors in cars and traffic lights in your home, all these micro sensors that'll be everywhere in the world, they need to be secured and they need to run off a server. The server that is designed to run the Internet of Things and keep that information secure. So let's say we have a bunch of government stuff that wants to have these very sensitive information. It needs to be 100% secure. That's never going to go to a proof of stake. Why? Because proof of stake is less secure. So the whole reason Ethereum Classic exists is to run the Internet of Things world. But in reality, the Internet of Things is not here yet. So nobody even realizes, like, oh my God, it's garbage. It's nothing. But actually deep dive and look at the code. Look at why Ethereum Classic exists. Its whole infrastructure is based around the Internet of Things. So when you want to have,
when you say the Internet of Things, can you
IoT devices, so small sensor devices that connect to your internet. So you can get all kinds of micro devices that go in your house to monitor your doors, your windows, your cameras, your fucking toaster oven, your fridge, whatever. If you can think of whatever you want to monitor, you can monitor it with an IoT device. Now what you do is you deploy that smart contract that monitors all that inside the EVM on the Ethereum Classic, which is a proof of work network. And now you can control your home, you can control traffic lights, you can control whatever you want from a global system, because the beautiful part about an EVM is it can perform a tangible action in the real world. Most people don't realize this. So if I say click on my fucking phone right now, right, and I deploy the line of code to perform a tangible action on the Ethereum Classic network or the Ethereum, it'll work on Ethereum too. You can deploy that code running, and then I can say, close my blinds in my fucking house in Portugal. And click that, it will fucking interact with that, and then turn around and interact with a node inside your house, and then turn your blinds down in fucking Portugal. All through the fucking blockchain.
Question on that. So that's first of all fucking awesome. I love that idea. But how is that? Can you talk about the contrast? So like I've got cameras, I got other shit around here, and then there's this app or this app to get into to manipulate that internet.
So the question is, what's the difference of deploying an app, right, or a line of code that creates a tangible action? You know what I mean? So you can deploy, like, this shit exists everywhere. You can go and download like freaking Raspberry Pis and freaking all this other stuff to create tangible actions, right? You put a Raspberry Pi and you can control this, control that, and it's in your house. Well, that code that's on that Raspberry Pi, what difference does it make if it's deployed on an EVM? Nothing. The only difference is where it's accessed. And once it's on the blockchain, and it's kind of like the hex contract, it's wrapped in a block, and it's there, and it's immutable unless you hack the blockchain. That's the beautiful thing about an EVM, right? So you can allow a port to the blockchain, which will live there forever. Right? Once you have like 200 blocks ahead of time, that code can never be hacked. And that's exactly the way the hex contract works. Unless you hack the Ethereum blockchain, you're not going to hack hex. But what you have is a front end to interact with the blockchain. Well, it's no different than that's performing a tangible action. Right? So the only thing is that tangible action is connected to a bunch of relays in the real world. Right? So what's the difference if you create a front end that interacts with the blockchain to make a tangible action to end a stake, or you make a front end to interact with the blockchain to close a relay, to turn your pump on, to turn your blinds down, or fucking turn a traffic light off, or fucking control a bunch of cameras, or literally do whatever the fuck you want.
So Ash says, BS, you can do that with proof of stake as well.
Yes, you can. But here's the thing. You can do it with proof of stake, but the security level is lower, right? Because now you have to go through somebody else's server, centralized server that has access and data scrubs all of that stuff, right? When you go through a proof of work, who's data scrubbing? Nobody. You know what I'm saying?
Because it's not battle tested, right? And that's the
difference. That's the difference. That's why Ethereum Classic will never go to proof of work or proof of stake, right?
What about Ethereum POW for 1 second?
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie, I have some action over there. Not crazy, but I played the little fiddle over there, and played my cards and sit some stuff over there, but I liked the backstop at the time. I said, I don't know too much about proof of work and proof of stake, but I like that they're both still here. And I wasn't super familiar with Classic because I was before
my only concern with proof of work, like POW right now, is it doesn't have a large enough consensus mechanism. There isn't enough people supporting it. You know what I mean? So there is a.
What do you mean by that? So what does it mean when you don't have? Isn't the consensus mechanism code, or what do you mean by saying it's not a large consensus mechanism?
So there isn't enough people in my, like, it hasn't come to scale yet. So there isn't enough people running independent nodes, and there isn't enough people willing to point enough miners at it to secure it. You know what I mean? So if you look at the number of miners that are securing it and the number of nodes, so this is what I was trying to say is more, the more nodes and the more miners you have, the more secure the network is. The less it is, the more ability it has to be for attack. But this whole narrative around a 51% attack has been solved a long time ago. Oh, 51% attack. There's many fucking coins that have been out there. They're 51% attacked, and they're still freaking here. You know what I mean? So like Ethereum Classic was 51% attacked 3 times. They've got warning systems and mechanisms in place to have early warnings of that and shut those things and remove them from the blockchain like within like 5 minutes of it happening. You know what I mean? I know the guys that wrote the code for that because I was part of all 3 of those, running miners and nodes for them for that 51% attack. So I literally ran the early warning systems for that so we could be part of it to shut it off. So I know that infrastructure already exists, and anybody that says otherwise is a lying sack of fucking shit because I literally was part of the fucking community that ran it. So I know it exists. So, but until it gets a little bit more people pointing miners at it, and like there's very few people, like I haven't looked at the actual data myself lately. Like it was a few months ago I looked at it, and there's very few nodes and very few people pointing miners at it because the payout wasn't enough for people, and the incentive wasn't high enough for people to point their GPUs to support the network. Maybe that's changed today. I don't know. I haven't looked at it specifically, but.
Frosty, so when I look at, say, Dex Screener, I see Ethereum Classic, and that might have 200 transactions or 75 transactions per over a 24-hour period of time. When I look at, and I haven't looked at it in probably like 3 weeks, but when I look at proof of work, POW transactions over a 24-hour period of time, it is about 10x or maybe a 25x the amount of transaction volume in a 24-hour period of time. How does that like influence your thinking? Because if I'm going to do a miner, I would want to go towards the action, right?
It depends on the payout. It depends on the payout and whether it's worthwhile for those like people. Like back in the day when I was mining Ethereum and Ethereum Classic, it was a negative externality. It cost me more to run the miners in electrical costs than I actually got paid out. But I never, like, everybody's like, oh, I'm losing money right now. But are you? Because like we were mining Ethereum Classic at like 97 cents, $1.25, and even today it's at $20. So did I really lose money? I was mining Ethereum at $68, between $68 in Ethereum. Did I lose money? No. Because it went up to $5,000, and then all that ETH I had, I fucking dumped into Hex, and that went up fucking 10,000x. So was the negative externality really high? No. And then on top of that, I ran all that shit through a company. So then I fucking bought all the miners through a fucking company, which was a tax write-off, which was completely fucking legal. And then I declared that shit on my fucking company balance sheet at the end of the fucking year for tax time, which was like $1.60 or $1.50 per coin or $68 per coin. Declared that in income, paid that on tax, and then it went the fucking way the fuck up. You know what I mean? And that all got ran through a fucking business, which is legal.
This is like so much experience in one moment.
So that, like, because the mining aspect and the node aspect is not something I'm like I have done. I like understand it conceptually, but I haven't done it. And I was thinking about potentially doing something like that for the learning experience, and then also, especially if it runs in a negative for like electrical costs, and then combine that with like another company, so that it just offsets the profit on another company, but I get to learn from that process. And it sounds like
that's exactly what you do. Is you run it in, you pay for it. See, there's a time to buy miners and there's a time not to buy miners. You know what I mean? When the bull market's going, you don't want to buy miners, and when the bull market ends, like right now, people dump their miners. Like they give them away. They'll spend like $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 on rigs. Like, right? So the rigs that I used to buy would be in the bear market. So they'd buy these GPUs. It was mostly GPU mining back then before ASICs were really high. And then like ASICs were just freaking coming out. But they'd buy shit tons of GPUs. They'd spend like 30 grand in GPUs and CPUs and motherboards to set all this up. And then the bear market would come and they would dump it. And I'd buy those fucking like 24 GPU rigs for $1,600. And I'd scoop them up by the
No
tons.
shit, dude. If you know the game, you know the game.
Then I'd scoop up all these fucking miners, run them during the bear market, and run them 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 and keep. In wintertime, it's cold in Canada, so I'd run them in my greenhouse. I'd run them in my fucking shop. I'd run them in my office. I'd run them in my house. I put them in my buddies' fucking houses in their basement and gave them a cut. You know what I mean? I put them wherever the hell I could. You know what I mean? And then I threw nodes in there, and back then, you could point your miners to your own nodes and you'd get a higher block reward than going through a pool, right? Because they're like back then you could point them to your own node and you download full blocks faster than pointing at a pool. So we were downloading blocks like fucking crazy. You know what I mean? Full blocks. Right? And then when the bull market comes, everybody would want to buy miners. There'd be a GPU shortage in the store, right? So I'd buy these things for like $1,600, $2,200 for 24 GPU rigs, right? And then the bull market would come. I'd dump those things. I remember buying them for like between $1,500 and $2,500 for 24 GPU rigs, and then I'd turn around and sell them in the bull market for like 8, 9, 10 grand for 24 rigs. Plus, I'd already have all the crypto, and then I'd wait for the next bear market, and I literally bought the same GPUs off of some of these friggin' idiots that wanted to run and get into it back for another $2,000 after I sold it to them for $8 grand.
That's awesome. That's incredible. What do you think about the like? Because if you have something like a miner, there's so many other benefits to that, as you're alluding to, right? So I was talking to you before you came on. If I'm mining and I'm talking to you and GRC because we're friends or whatever, I'm gonna be like, hey guys, I'm doing mining and I'm making this much money and this is how it's all working, right? So then it incentivizes you guys, or at least makes you aware to be able to get into mining and or figure out another way.
Mining is still a huge industry, and if you really want to get serious about it, after a couple of years of getting into it, we started to cut back on our GPU miners and went to FPGAs. And the reason why I liked FPGAs is because like an FPGA would get like 10 times the hash rate that a fucking ASIC miner would. But the problem with an ASIC miner is you buy this specific ASIC miner to run Bitcoin, Litecoin, fucking there's a specific algorithm in to run that. But an FPGA is like a freaking video card on steroids, right? It's like an ASIC on steroids, but you can reprogram the bitch to fucking run anything else. So if the freaking token drops, right, and let's say the hash rate drops on something else, you get your coders to come on, reprogram the FPGA for that new code, and you point your FPGA, and now you have the majority of the freaking hash rate, and you can scoop up all the blocks, and you just basically download. You can get your coders to write these FPGA codes, and then you just and you have the ones that you want to swap back and forth, or depending on the hash rate, because they fluctuate, right? Like you'll see and what you'll realize is the majority of the tokens is, and people will call me wrong and they'll call me out and tell them I'm full of shit, but in all reality, look at a fucking graph towards price and hash rate. Go look at the Bitcoin price and hash rate. It's like fucking 98% correlated. 98% fucking correlated. So Bitcoin price drops, right? You throw an FPGA at it, you know what I mean? Because then they're shutting their miners off, and you'll notice miners will rotate depending on fucking weather, heat, costs, you know what I mean? And they'll rotate, and it's like they just turn the fucking hash rate off, the fucking price drops.
So question on this front, right? So you had multiple businesses, plenty of success in that arena. Why hasn't somebody come out with a miner similar? You know how like people who drive Uber, they'll be like, okay, cool. I'll have the Uber app. I'll have the DoorDash app. I'll have like the Lyft app. And then they'll just be like, okay, which one can I go work in? And they'll go to that one. And then as soon as they're done, they'll check the apps again and go there, right? Okay, so think about that for a miner, whether it is Bitcoin, whether it is this other thing, whether it's this other thing. Optimized a algorithm so that it points the miner in the direction of the most profitable way to mine, but it's done automatically, because that could be a gigantic company, right? If I take a company, if we build a company and we create these miners, they have the capacity to go to any network and optimize based on the profitability and the hash rate relative to the other things and all that kind of stuff. So that it's done automatically. You don't have to have the technical knowledge to know how to do it, because that scares people. Why hasn't somebody?
It is complicated because it depends on the mining algorithm in which you want to run. And there's like dozens and dozens of different mining algorithms depending on the chain that you want to support, right? And depending on the GPU or the CPU or the memory type that you have in the GPU or the ASIC is going to be specific for like Samsung, and like there's all kinds of different memories and that are specific. That's why what's nice about an FPGA, because an FPGA, Google an FPGA. This is what a server runs on right now. So when you go to Amazon servers, they're all running FPGAs. You know what I mean? When you go to those large, massive server systems, they're all FPGAs, right? Why? They're programmable field arrays, right? And what they do is they can fucking change the program. So you have a chipset and a bus set all on that freaking board, and you can program them to do whatever the hell you want. The problem is they're expensive as fuck. But if you can line yourself up, if you really want to get into this, because this is not really for the amateur, this is for the advanced.
Sam is taking it in appropriately. Trust me. You have armed the perfect man with this info.
Yeah, a field programmable gate array is freaking the top of the line. But these are only for advanced guys. Like, you are not going to become new to mining and jump into this because it'll be complicated as fuck. But once you're in the fucking ecosystem for a while and you really want to step up your game, this is what you run. Because at that point, you can fucking run whatever algorithm you want, from Bitcoin to Ethereum to fucking Ethereum Classic to fucking Litecoin to Dogecoin. You can run whatever you want.
So okay? what type of effort, or like you said, it's complex, right? Because you have
very complex. Because there's very few people. There's very few people in the world that know how to run a program of an FPGA. But you can find them.
Think about that. The reward that we receive in business is based upon the complexity and the hardness of solving an issue, right?
Guaranteed.
Right. So if this is a complex thing, and the FPGA chip system thing that's built here can be done with an algorithm so that it changes in real time. So it's able to switch from network to network to network to optimize for cash flow or ROI. And then this could be packaged as in this type of thing. I mean, I just mean a systematic way where it's easy for a user to use.
Well, they did that a long time ago, because there was a company that you could what was it called? There's a company out there that already did that with FPGAs, and basically what they do is they were coders, right? And they deployed them on the Bitcoin forum, the Bitcoin what the fuck was it called? Back in the day, you could go onto this Bitcoin forum, and there used to be one for the FPGA community, and you basically pay these guys a fee, and they'd supply all the programming for them, right? All the programming codes for them. It'd be like $1,000 a month. It'd be $12,000 a year. You pay these guys, and they look after all the programming and the new updates and changes the code depending that were coming out on the fucking software. Because back then they were upgrading the code in the blockchain industry like all the time, right? They were downloading new code, and then that would affect the miners. So you'd pay these guys like $12,000 a year, but it sounds expensive to the average person. But then you just basically go on there, download the freaking code, and then within about 35-40 minutes you freaking boot your miners, reboot the system, and point it to another freaking thing. And we'd jump back and forth between different ones depending on hash rate, and then take over and mine the most out of it, right? And then wait for the coin to go up, the hash rate to go up, dump the fucking coin and point it at something else that was low. And we just keep freaking doing that. And the great arbitrage was really between Ethereum and Ethereum Classic, because it was crazy back then. Like, the FPGAs were downloading, those FPGAs that we were downloading, each FPGA would download like 7 to 10 fucking coins per hour.
Of Ethereum or of Classic? Ethereum?
Both. Yeah.
Holy
Yeah.
crap.
Yeah.
Well,
An
yeah,
hour,
yeah,
an
yeah,
hour, man, an hour.
7 to 10 per hour. Is that what you said? Am I understanding?
Mhm.
Well, like
Back then, like this is like fucking years ago before the hash rate got way the hell up there, and nobody knew what FPGAs was, and this was just before ASICs came out, right? So it was crazy. Like you just basically, you could literally take over a mining pool. You could take with like 7 FPGAs, which was like, I don't know, they were like $6,000 each back then, 5-6 grand each back then. You know what I mean? So for like 20-30K, you could literally take over the fucking network and be the majority of the hash rate.
wow. Because in today's
30K, dude.
well, I'm
Easy
fascinated.
money.
What return? I know you can't say it based on the hash rate, the network you're on, the thing. How do you think about it? Might be a better question. How do you think about the returns on it? Right now, it's probably not super profitable during other times. So how do you think about mining?
It is profitable. You just have to. I'm going to say this again. Everything is a function of time. You just have to wait. But everybody wants instant gratification. So let's say you're running miners today to heat your house. Well, you're paying heating oil, electricity, natural gas, propane, whatever the hell it is you're using to heat your home if you live in a cold climate. That's a negative externality on your pocketbook. Even if you get $200 back, well, $200 back is better than nothing, right? And that $200, and you just put it in the corner and you wait. But it's not $200, maybe $200 of token value today. How much? So it's like saying $200 worth of tokens of Hex today. That doesn't seem like a lot, but $200 worth of tokens of Hex.
$20,000 at the top of the bull run if they went to $1.
If Hex becomes $5, for argument's sake, how much is that $200 worth of Hex worth at $5?
Well,
right? Did you make your hydro back? Do the math on that. I don't even know right now. What's $200 worth of Hex? How many tokens?
It comes out to be what it would be at $5 would be $125,000. So $200 of Hex to $125,000.
Because right now that would roughly be like 10,000, 12,000, something like that. Hex.
So let's say you spent $40,000 on the equipment, right? And you ran it. Okay, did you double your money? Sure you did. And you were able to play some games. You were able to cut your fucking income costs down. You were able to get something back. And if you set it up right, you can use it as a tax write-off as a loss.
Yes. Okay. This is something I want to get into in 2023, even if it's just marginally, just so that I can learn, because this is fascinating stuff, especially now when the depths of a bear market. And
it's all legal. It's all legal. You just need to learn to use the fucking rules of the game. If you own a company, right? Let's say you own a company. These are real world costs. What difference is it if you heat your home and you buy yourself a furnace, or you buy yourself a wood stove, or you buy yourself whatever it is, you're like a fucking whatever it is you want to heat your home with, right? Well, that's going to cost money in equipment, right? And then it's going to cost you money in some sort of energy style, whether it's natural gas, oil, electricity. There's an energy consumption there to pay for it. What's the difference? It's the same thing. You're going to spend money on equipment. You're going to spend money on the interest costs. But I can tell you right now, if you add up over 4 years of energy costs, 5 years of energy costs, do you have a potential of making money to get 100% of your energy costs back, plus sell the equipment when you're finished, plus make a 50 to 100% gain on your energy costs, which is a negative externality? No. Nobody's coming to giving you your money back for the natural gas you spent. Nobody's coming to give you the money back for the furnace you bought. Nobody's giving the money back. But this, you get the same thing, but you have the potential to get your returns back and make money at the same time. So what's the difference?
On this front, so this is 100% selfish here, and I hope that this is valuable to people who are listening, because they might be in the same realm as this. So in this year, I was thinking about buying a warehouse. And this is for my business or whatever, but the warehouse, I could put it to such a way where there's enough space to do some mining in there as well as a separate business or entity or something. But
well, hit me up. I know exactly how to design that, because we designed this a long time ago. We'd section off a room, we'd heat the living shit out of it, and then we distributed it through regular ducting work through my warehouse and my buildings for like my storage area for my electrical business. You know what I mean? And then we'd run duct work over to run the office section, right? It's literally like a furnace room, but the only difference between the furnace room and that and the utility room was that it was just packed full of miners. And we did the exact same thing with my greenhouses. So we had outdoor greenhouses with double layer inflated poly in Canada, minus 32, and we'd be able to maintain. Actually, it was too fucking hot. I'd had to freaking open vent gates and have a mixing air mixer at minus 30 because the miners produced too much heat to heat the greenhouse in Canada. So, and we growed all year round. So now we were getting the money from that, and I was getting the money from the miners. Sure, I was paying electricity costs, but in the long run, I got that back 10,000 fold. And I was having the ability to grow my own food in Canada, which again cut my negative externality, which allowed me to buy more crypto. Even if I saved myself money in food, because we were growing all that stuff, and fruits and vegetables and everything else are really expensive. If you want to live a healthy lifestyle and like to eat fresh vegetables, then build a freaking greenhouse. You can run it and heat it. And now that extra money that you're not spending on groceries, you're putting towards crypto, right? So there's two ways. You either have to increase your income or decrease your standard of living. But there's a way that you can do both and have best of both worlds and have maximized the profitability of making a return on that negative externality. And if you do it smartly, set up with businesses, you can legally do all this with businesses and be a legal tax write-off. Right? Because if it's set up through a business, your hydro is a legal tax write-off. If you buy the equipment, it's a legal tax write-off.
On the business side of things, because this is what I wanted to ask you about, because last time we chatted, we briefly talked about solar, right? Mm-hmm. And not in the sense of like the ESG argument, but from a business standpoint, right? So they just passed something which gives you now 30% tax credit. And then with part of the rules, you're able to effectively, if you're doing it for business purposes, write off the entire cost of the system as a write-off. So effectively, 30% is a tax credit, 70% is a write-off in year one. So you don't have to depreciate it over multiple years. And
plus, you get the depreciation value of it over the next probably 6, 7, 8 years, 10 years. You have a depreciation. You can write the depreciation value off of it.
You don't have to do any depreciation. You can do it all in year one.
I'd do it over. I'd do the depreciation value over a longer period of time, because if you think you're losing dollar for dollar buying power, now it gives you more ability to play with that number depending on your profit margin. So let's say in your business, so you have let's say you don't want to do that all in a year, let's say year one or year two, and let's say your sales are you have a loss in that year. No, you want to be able to push that forward until you have a year where, let's say, you have 100K in profit. Okay. Now you want to take that 100K and then take depreciation value of 30K and write it off against your 100. Now you're only paying taxes on 70.
So you can do that, right? So say in year one, I get the warehouse, I have the depreciation on the warehouse, and then I put the system on there, and say the system's 60 grand, but I get to take that all in year one. And so there's a net write-off tax credits depreciation of $80,000. And I made say $40,000. Then that remainder here in the U.S. is a tax loss carry forward. So I still have it available for year 2 or 3 if I don't use it. But
every time like I'm not a tax accountant. I'm not a fucking advising you to do fucking shit. Okay, I'm just telling you from my experience in my fucking life. Okay, I'm not telling you what to do, because depending on where you live, the rules and tax laws are fucking different. So you're going to have to do your own fucking homework. You know what I mean? But these things do generally exist in most tax places. So you have to get off your lazy ass, and you're going to have to open a book and talk to some fucking professional people and create a fucking tax plan. You know what I mean? Don't take my advice. Do your own fucking homework. Okay. I'm not just for you. I'm just putting that out there. You know what I'm saying?
This is great information. Listen to guys.
But the reality is, there are regulations and stuff. So let's say you're like, again, we were using the hypothesis of $100,000. So you run your business, and chances are, if you're dumping the money into a new warehouse and all this infrastructure or whatever, you're going to carry that loss. There's no reason why you can't have a loss for the next 3 years if you're dumping that, maybe 4 years. You're running that business in a loss. So you're not going to want to put more of a loss onto that tax year. You want to push all that shit out as far as you can. So that, say, year 5, you're now gone from a loss to $100,000. Okay. So, okay, well, fuck, I've already got all these tax credits because I've put in, which are legally carried forward legally. I'm not telling you to do anything legally. This is legal shit that you can do. carry it freaking forward and say, now I got 100, I spent 30K in solar. I'm going to dump 30K on that fucking year 5, drop that down to 7. Now I got 70K I got to pay taxes on. Well, fuck that. I'm going to go fucking take 70K and I'm going to go buy a brand new fucking truck, or I'm going to go buy put an expansion on my fucking building, because a building is now an asset. I own that asset. It's legally taxed right off. And now I drive that. I spend the 70K on a legal fucking asset that generates me more money in the future, right? It's tax planning, and now I don't pay any fucking taxes.
I don't agree with pushing into the future. I want my losses today, because if I have multiple entities, so like this is going to be dependent on who you are, where you're located, like what Foster was just saying. So if you have multiple entities and maybe a holding company that's owning both of those entities as an investment company of some sort, and losses come in on one side, and profits come in on a different company, I'd rather have all those losses today that I can net against those profits from a different business or multiple other businesses to reduce.
Hit me up offline. Hit me up offline in a video chat offline, and I'll go over this in a way better detail that'll blow your fucking mind.
Well, this is what I've been waiting for the whole entire time. Thank you guys, finally. I'm like, I love putting two guys together that just are on the same wavelength, different parts of their journey. Because I'm not going to lie to you guys, like, probably not in the position where this is going to be my next project that I'm going to take up for me. So I'm kind of like just trying to host it, because the guys in the chat are loving this. I mean,
here's the biggest thing when it comes to financial stuff. And this is my opinion, not fucking advice, not legal tax advice, not a lawyer. Okay. Hire yourself. The best monies you'll ever fucking spend the money on a good fucking lawyer. Spend the money on a good fucking accountant. I don't care if it costs you fucking 10 grand a year, 20 grand a year. That 20 grand a year you will save that in fucking the first 2 years. I promise you. Okay. I promise you. They are worth money. I got fucking lawyers all over the world. You know what I mean? Like, I got lawyers in Ecuador. I got lawyers in fucking Canada. I got lawyers in the US. I got lawyers in the fucking Caymans. I got lawyers in fucking El Salvador. If any motherfucker comes at me with anything for shit, here's my fucking team of lawyers. And they just go the fuck away.
As you gain wealth in this world, I've noticed this. I grew up around a lot of people, and some of them were extremely wealthy and successful, some of them not. But like, I just had a couple people in my life that were, the minute you get successful, you're an immediate target. And this is not on the accounting and the taxes side. I'm talking more so on the lawyer side. But like, you become a target, and having a lawyer is your saving grace, because if you have to deal with this, if you're successful, this is critical for the day.
This is not my problem. It's not my problem.
Right. Yeah. You just don't want to think about this shit.
I don't need to think about it. Why do I need to waste my time and energy on it? I pay these guys good money, solve the fucking problem. Right? You know what I mean? Solve it. I don't care. And you know what? Like, yeah. It's worth every weight in gold. But the reality is, this is legal. This has existed forever. Like, this is not something new. This is not something that I created. This is something I came up. This is old as fucking time as time as there is.
Did you think this level of wealth would be accessible to you in your youth?
Well, this is what I'm trying to explain. You don't get to that level of wealth because there's two steps. There's two stages. First of all, there's wealth creation and wealth preservation. And the strategies between the two are extremely different. You know what I mean? So in the wealth creation stage, you need to, so all of this goes down to paperwork. It's paperwork, and it's up to you. You have freedom of choice how you file your paperwork. So let's say you just go to work and you're a plumber. Okay. So you have a choice. You can either go, and in Canada, it was like a T4. I'm not sure what it is in the US, but you're an employee. Okay.
W2 is what's called
a W2. So you can either go to work and file your all your paperwork as a W2, or you can spend, now it's easier. You can probably open a business for like $1,000 online, and then turn around and go, now I'm a contractor, and you could work for the exact same company.
This is literally what I was about to tell you, to give you guys something practical. If you work in the United States as a W2 employee, pay attention to what Frosty's saying. I've made multiple videos on this. You, as a W2 employee, can start a business and make more money, even if your business doesn't make any money. Go ahead.
Exactly.
Frosty.
Instantly. Nothing's changed about your life. You're still working at the same job. You're working for the same employer, the same plumbing company, but now it's actually a benefit for you and your employer, right? Because now when you're an employer and you actually have an employees, you got a lot of people don't realize your company has to pay. You put into taxes, and your company has to match taxes to pay to the government. You're not paying all your freaking taxes. The company's got to pay a portion of your tax, so that's a liability on the company side, right? So instead of you getting your paycheck minus your fucking taxes, you work 40 hours a week at $25 an hour, you get fucking X minus your fucking taxes, and that's what you fucking take home. You just by changing the paperwork, by filing the paperwork, now you're a fucking tax write-off for your company, and now you don't get any taxes taken away. You get your full thing, and it's up to you to manage your own taxes. But now, if you've got to drive your truck that carries your tools, and any tools that you buy are now a legal tax write-off against that fucking income. You know what I mean? So now you end up taking more home, and nothing has changed about your life. Now you set up a room in your freaking house, right, or your garage, and you calculate the square footage of that room, right, as a percentage of your overall house square footage. Let's say it's 20%. You know what I mean? Then you take 20% of all your household fucking expenses, hydro, water, fucking any maintenance costs, depreciation value, and you can write 20% of that off because it's a legal fucking thing. Your car insurance, you can write down a logbook, keep track of what you use for work. You know what I mean? Calculate what the percentage of that is on an annual basis, write off the insurance, write off the gas, get off any fucking maintenance, whatever now. And you're not doing any of that now, right? All of that's a negative externality on your after-tax dollars. But now you're getting 100% of your income, and all of the stuff that you already have is now a tax write-off, which is lowering the amount of money. Which, so if you say whatever, you have that $100,000 a year, and accumulatively with all these taxes that you've now reduced that by 30, now you're only net paying tax on 70. Where before on the W-2, you were paying full tax on the 100,000. See the difference?
Yes, real quick, can I say one thing?
Anyway, go ahead. I'll go on a tangent. Just cut me off.
If I have to take notes on my computer for one more second, I'm going to freak out. Because I'm literally, I'm just typing at full mega load now. I need some AI action. I shouldn't be typing. What am I doing? Anyway, so real quick for everyone in here, let me pull this out. Just give me a second. This is, if you're young, if you're in, I always say that because I talk to a bunch of guys that are young, but if you are not certain about your business future, if you're not certain about your trajectory at your employment, your place of employment, if you're scared, a little nervous, if you know you're going to make the jump at some point, I know a lot of you guys are like me. There was never a day I didn't know I was going to make the jump, but I just didn't know when. So watch this video 10 fucking times. Literally, because you know what I'm going to do after this? Watch this video again. And I have not rewatched a video that I have been in, that I have hosted in a long time. I've gotten a lot of me and Sam talking, trying to learn some stuff. And then Frosty's going to come in here and drop elbows. And Frosty had a tough year last year, made a recovery. We're all happy that he's back because he had a little problem with his health, and that happens. And thank God, Frosty, you're back because you're saving my ass right now by helping, and not just me, all these guys in the chat, they need this shit. And you can't get it from everyone. You just told us. I'm going to clip every single second of this stream. Go ahead, Sam. That's it for me. I just wanted to do that.
Put this in very, very, very simple terms, because if you are listening to this and you're like, damn, that dude talks so fast, I think it's important, but I don't understand what the fuck he's saying. The simplest thing, and in Canada, what did you say this is called? A T something? A T, you're muted. A T4, I think it was, or something in Canada. So it's a W-2. You work for a company and you get.
Sorry, Frosty. I muted you. If you were talking, I muted you. My bad.
What is it called? A T4?
T4, yeah. Okay.
So T4 is the same thing as a W-2 or very similar to in Canada. If you're in this box here, if you're in this box here, this is how things work. You get income. That's what this is. Then you pay your taxes, and then you pay your expenses. Make it super simple. You will start a company and or turn yourself into a contractor. You get income, you get expenses, Then you get taxes, and you're like, Sam, the only difference is that the taxes and the expenses change. If you don't understand why that's important,
here's some very good videos to watch. Go watch all the Rich Dad Poor Dad videos. This is nothing new. And then go watch Mike Maloney's freaking Hidden Secrets of Money. Right? There's 10 episodes of Hidden Secrets of Money. And I advise everybody to watch that 10 Hidden Secrets of Money 1,000 times. If you want to understand the way the banking system is laid out in a very basic form, watch Mike Maloney and look at it. You know what I mean? And read those books. Read freaking stuff from Rich Dad Poor Dad, and just watch the videos. Like, you don't even, like, if you're that lazy, you don't even read the book, you can download the audiobook, for Christ's sakes. You know what I mean? Listen to the audiobook. And they explain this exactly. Like, this is nothing new. I did not create this this is not me. This is just the way things are done. But the interesting thing, did I hear one of you guys were in construction? Okay, then you guys need to hit me up offline, because
I built cell phone towers from scratch for 2.5 years.
Okay, well, let's talk about that, because I got some fucking massive things I'm working on in construction, and I'm looking to import stuff from the US to a couple different countries, because I've got some very good opportunities in construction.
Bro,
we'll talk about that
I
later.
just want to work. I want to do something that matters so badly. And it's, me, I'm not the most money motivated in the world. I love that stuff you talk about. You're like, I want to do this because it matters. And that's the stuff that really gets to me. Talking about centralization, I remember when you were bringing up all these nodes that you were going to, and I was like, was just too early for me to really get there with that talk. And now I totally see what you were doing. You were trying to bring transparency back to a crypto is meant to be transparent. Ledger, that's what it was meant to be. You know what I mean? And
let's put it this way: if we would have launched
faster than the internet
network,
if you look at the internet numbers and you look at the crypto numbers, the crypto is scaling double the pace that the internet is scaling.
Oh, for sure.
And that's so I always say on the show, the crypto is just as impactful, if not more, than the internet. And that's why I'm here right now.
People are just impatient. They think there's no change. But just look at the Hex community in 1 year. There's so many new people, like just going into Twitter spaces. There's so many bitching, whining, complaining noobs in there that are getting wrecked because this is their first bear market that weren't there literally a year ago. It was like the same people in the spaces and everybody got to know everybody. Now I go into spaces because I kind of took a bunch of time off and I didn't really want to listen to the pissing and whining and moaning, but there's a whole whack of people, and that's in 1 year. So the exponential rate of change over a function of time is exponential in our community, and you can see it on small scale. So it is working. It just takes time to play out, but people are so fucking impatient. It's not even funny.
Are y'all plugged in, Sam, with your mic? Somebody mentioned your mic. I didn't notice anything.
I checked it. It is working. It seems to be working.
Hey, how's the audio for everyone? It's been good for me on my side, pretty much.
Frosty, this has been awesome. There was somebody asking where people can reach out to you. And then we can wrap things up. So tell people if they want to reach out.
They don't reach out to me. I don't want anybody reaching out to me.
Okay, so don't reach out to Frosty. Are you available?
Reach out to me if you really want to reach out to Frosty. Here, I'll do it. If you really want to reach out to Frosty and you have something that you want to mention, message me first. And I will see if I know that he would like to chat with you, and I'll make it convenient for him to chat with you.
There's too many random people out there. There's too many random snakes out there trying to bring shit down. I'm not here to offer advice for anybody. I'm not here telling you what to do. I'm not freaking a lawyer. I'm not a fucking accountant. I'm not giving you financial advice. I don't give a shit about your fucking lives. No offense, no disrespect.
That's just real.
I can tell you what fucking, I can say, here's this path and here's this path. I advise you to fucking go down that path, but that path's going to take some work. Okay, nobody's going to do all this stuff for you for free. I'm not going to do this stuff for you for free. You want this stuff, then I'll open a company and you can fucking pay me. Okay, but you guys got to get off your lazy ass, pick up a fucking book, and you got to fucking read it. I can say, go watch this video. It's up to you to watch it. I can say to you, go read this fucking book. It's up to you to do it. I can say, go talk to a fucking lawyer in your area, but it's up to you to do it. Don't come to me for nothing. I'm not fucking telling you to do anything. And I honestly, no offense to most of you people, I don't give a shit about your fucking lives. So don't waste your time telling me because you're too fucking lazy. I'm telling you the path on this stream right now to go and look at it. If you're too fucking lazy to do it, that's not my problem. I'm sorry if that's harsh, but
incredible.
I don't want to be
That's
harsh,
exactly
but
how me and Sam feel, and nobody's of, you just were honest rather than just saying what most people would say. You would be like, of course, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Never talk to anyone. You're just going to be really honest with everyone right now while we have this opportunity. And the same goes for me and Sam, guys. Yeah, there's a couple of you I chat with, and I know that have honest intentions. And of course, I'd love to have a chat. But for the majority of people that hit me up, I don't have enough hours in the day to even deal with any of it, to be honest. And I don't. And I hope everyone doesn't die, of course, but like, I don't care. I have to fight for my shit. I'm fighting right now. I'm fighting. Every day is a fight for me.
The thing is, if you can't help yourself, you can't help somebody else. You know what I mean? And you're right. You get on these freaking lines and you open up your DMs and you get 1,000 lazy people that just want the answer and don't want to do any work. They want you to tell them what to fucking do, and they don't want to put any effort into it. Well, guess what? You got the wrong freaking person. You know what I mean? I can tell you and lead you down the path of knowledge. Knowledge is power, power is money, and knowledge is free if you're willing to obtain it. So,
for example, I learned how to liquidity provide from scratch, and I'm not a pro. But I know how to do it all the way through. And I know what happens when other things happen on the end of that. So now, on occasion, I've had like 6 or 7 guys over the last 6 months. They hit me up and they ask, hey, can I have some of your time? Sometimes they, depending on who it is, sometimes they're real young. Sometimes they're a little older in a better position. And I have now exchanged my brain, which I just sit here. I know how to make passive income by liquidity providing now. And I also, people hit me up and ask, how do I store my money in liquidity pools and earn yield? And it's like, oh, it only took me 6 months of studying, doing it myself. No big deal. I did it on ETH-POW. I did all of it on ETH-POW for free. For free. I learned how to liquidity POW on liquidity provide V3 on Ethereum POW for free. And I was like, oh, sweet. I finally had an opportunity because I wasn't paying $14 187 times. I need to do things a million times to get it right. So on ETH-POW, it was free. The transactions were free, and I had all that text forked over. So I kind of learned some stuff over there. So what you're saying is you need to work hard and stop being pussies.
The reality is they need to get what people really need to understand is what value means. People don't understand value.
Yes.
Right? So if you're looking for dollars. Oh, I'm going to get up in the morning and I'm searching for dollars. You're already asking the wrong question. Okay? The last thing you should be thinking about is money. The first question in your mind should be value. And majority stuff is value in tangible things. Fucking Jim Rat has a beer. I want a beer. That's tangible. I want to build a house. Jim Rat knows how to build a house. Jim Rat fucking knows how to build a tower. Those are tangible things. The byproduct of you doing those things and supplying value to a large number of people, the byproduct of that value is money. So if you're trying to find money, the very first question you should be asking, what value do you bring to the table for people? People are the common denominator. Money is a byproduct of people, and people spend money on things they want and of value to them. So the more people that you can supply value to on a day-to-day basis, the more money you will get. So the question is, what are you doing in your lazy sack of shit life, living in your mom's basement in your fucking tidy whities, fucking supplying value? If you're supplying no value, then you obviously have no money. The more value you can supply, the more money you can get, which generally translates to what problems can you solve for more people. The more ability that you can solve problems for other people is generally the higher value of return.
Beautifully put. That is a very.
I gotta close the show. We gotta end somewhere. There's too many clips that I have to do now.
Cool.
I gotta do 10 clips. Thank God for AI technology, because I won't be putting a damn title on any of them things. They'll do it for me. So I learned that yesterday from Sam. Now I can download this video onto a certain platform. It generates all the titles and everything and the background for me just by the words that are spoken. It analyzes the words that are spoken in the AI, and then it labels everything and cuts it out appropriately.
And
that's value.
That literally what I was about to say. To tie this back to exactly what Frosty was saying, why did I share that with GRC? Because I understood that he's trying to accomplish something. He needs something to do this thing. So I have that information here. Hey, bro, you can use this tool. I already pay for it. You can use the tool that I'm paying for to solve your problem. That's value. Think about how you can do that to friends. Think about how that you can do that to your loved ones. Think about how you can do that to everybody around you. And inevitably,
and I did it though. I spent all day after he sent me that app. I spent 8 hours straight. I did not leave my desk. I want you guys to understand this because I'm in the middle of a zone, if you know what I mean. I'm 28. I gotta get the fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying? So, but I didn't wait a fucking second. I said, oh, well, my girl, this, oh, well, I could do this. I could get a beer. I could just go over here. I said 8 hours and I'll be done. And I'll know this for life, period. End of story. Got it done. And I'm doing it for every day after this. You'll see all the clips. I posted 10 clips yesterday. And I'm excited, guys. And this is not the easiest time in my life, but it fills me up with fucking vigor. I'm so excited every day when I wake up. And that's something that guys like Frosty will catch on to. And, like he's looking for guys that are like, I'm not saying he's looking for anyone at the second, but I'm saying he would notice, oh, there's a young guy with a motor. He'll go 10 years straight, right? And he's like, okay,
I got one of them right here, right now.
If Frosty won't go 10, Frosty already did his 10 years in prison. I'm sure at some point you had to go balls to the walls.
Oh, dude, I work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Honestly, I'm not even going to lie to you. It literally cost me my first marriage and my kids. That's how much I worked. I'm not even lying. I worked 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in the construction industry. I worked my bag off. If there was extra hours, I took them. When there was freaking overtime, I took it. And then even when I did have time off, I did my own shit on the side to make extra income. You know what I mean? I was busting my ass on side jobs in construction when I was freaking younger to do wire houses on the fucking side to make extra income. I worked nonstop for probably 15 years. And I was married for 13. And I worked so much that it basically cost me my freaking marriage because we grew apart. And I had
how
my
many
kids
people
with
have
them.
called you lucky in your journey?
Every day. Oh, like, you're lucky, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, dude, I worked my bag off. There was nobody there, man. Like, I remember doing construction projects. So I'll give you an example. I know you don't want to cut the stream off, but there was a project that the whole construction crew was under. They have deadlines in construction, and if you don't meet your deadlines, there's generally penalties, right? And they had a deadline to open up on a Monday, right? And otherwise, they were going to leave $10,000 a day penalty. And nobody wanted to work. So we a bunch of my guys, we were freaking in our, like, I think it was 23. We stayed 3 days, Friday night, Friday day, Friday night, Saturday day, Saturday night, fucking Sunday day, Sunday fucking night, worked 24 hours. We crashed on the fucking floor. I literally slept on a fucking roll of BX, on a roll of fucking wire for a couple hours, and we got up and go again. And we closed that. The owner that was so fucking happy that we went that extra mile, he all gave us a $10,000 bonus for working that, plus our freaking wage. And then he brought us all cases of beer. He showed up with cases of beer, right? Cases of freaking Corona, and all gave us a $10,000 fucking check.
Yes. But that's where, because you're exchanging value to the dude. He's going to be, so there's an added cost of $10,000 a day to not finish the project that could escalate in the future or cause other issues in the future. And you're like, let's get this fucking shit done. And you get rewarded for that. Not every single time, but on average you do. If you do that.
But we were happy to do it without knowing we were getting $10,000. We were just like, you know what, man? We got your back. We're going to fucking make this happen for you. And you know what? Even to this fucking day, this fucking day, I could fucking call that guy on the phone. And if I needed a job, he's like, whatever you need, man. Whatever you need, because that's how you develop respect for other people, because you have to be willing to give and expect nothing in return. If you give to other people and expect nothing in return, you'll be surprised at the amount of people that you'll gain respect for and the people that will have your back. You know what I mean? That is important.
Anyone knows the transition. Somebody in here just said, Edwin, I helped launch the first 4G network. You probably built those towers, bro. That's exactly what I was doing the entire time I was working. I was either building a site from scratch with the team, or I was swapping 3G for 4G, literally taking all of the antennas and throwing them off of the towers, putting new ones in, and then they came out with fiber cables. So there used to be these big fat coax cables. You had to cut them, you had to grind them, you had to flatten them out, and you had to get this big old machine and shoot the tip on it, and then you had to pull this 100,000-pound thing up the tower with all your buddies in some line, hook it up to the machine, and then the next year they tell you to dump it all off the thing. Dump everything. Dump it, 4G fiber cable, all done. So they waste more money in that industry than you'd ever imagine, but that industry is wild, man. And I got about 20 or 30 guys that still work in that industry, that 2 or 3 of them being elite level.
So that's the infrastructure that's missing in the crypto world. That same fucking infrastructure of those cell phone towers you're thinking about the building right now. The reason why, so if you think of those cell phone towers as your freaking communication level and your phone as a node to communicate with it, why doesn't the industry work the way it does work, the convenience factor it has? Because nobody's laid down the cell phone towers. The people that lay down the cell phone towers in this next industry, in the fucking digital world, are going to be the Teleses of the future. And that's what I keep telling people with the node network.
Dude,
right now, there's
shit
no
down.
value in running an individual node. Okay? But you tell me how much you can get paid if you run 10,000 nodes. How much is that network worth? A lot.
I wanted to mention this to you. I don't know the name.
A ton.
Frosty, there's another network that is either launched or launching that they changed the incentive structure, because that's what the guy who launched this thing talks about. That's what they talk about in their white paper, where the nodes have to be incentivized to grow, and that's along these lines. But this has been awesome. Frosty, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
I'll hit the buttons, guys. I'm gonna get my tower climbing stuff back on. Just see if it fits, baby. I mean, come on. Sometimes I never thought in a million I would climb a tower again, and I just thought
You don't need to climb a tower. You just need to.
No, I know, but I was thinking. I know, but I was thinking in my head, I was like, man, I wish if I had a mission, like back then I was working for a dude, right? I didn't make a jack shit money. But if I had a mission in a team and I was trying to change the world, I would do anything. I think that's what we're all looking for here. Change the world, provide value, get yours, buy your crypto, get your moon bags, and then do whatever you want with your life. But make sure you're being productive and make sure you're trying to be as friendly as you can when you're around with people. Don't be evil like PW in the chat, always being negative. Be nice, be happy, because life is good and we're all going to die. So everyone have an amazing day. We talked about proof of work versus proof of stake in the beginning, and then we went to business 101 with Frosty for the rest. And golly, I'll be working for a couple hours clipping that. Have a great day, guys. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you like the content. Share this to one of your young friends or a friend that could use this information who's having trouble with work or the missus just kicked him out. We'll get him back in track.
You already know what time it is. Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning. Waiting on phone. Crypto in the morning. 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 Waiting on phone. Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning. Smoking a blunt on my way to the gym. 11 a.m. and I'm already tuned in. Got me some hacks and I'm making a stake. Got me some heads on, I'm making it rain. Pay me some maxi and that's just in case. Jim Reddit sent me to show you the way.